Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, Shabbat Shalom. All right. And on my way to work this morning, the big news, over the night was Iran and America come to a ceasefire deal, man. Okay. And we know that to be Trump basically tucking his tail, man, because just weeks ago he was basically begging for help out here in these in these streets, man, if you will. All right. But before I even got to get off work, what has happened? Says world reacts to brutal Israeli attacks on Lebanon after U.S.-Iran truce. So what can't be controlled is Benjamin Netanyahu, man. All right, that's who cannot be controlled. Okay, and so I gotta find a way to censor myself because BitChute is not posting my whole video for some reason, man. All right, and so I'm gonna try to post this on BitChute and as well as YouTube, man. Okay, so YouTube is more censored, than BitChute. BitChute is you can speak freely. So I gotta keep that in mind, man. All right, and also, man, shout out to the idiot that keeps thumb down me my videos, man. All right, here it is in the brink of World War III. All right, over the last 4 years, nothing but I came out of nothing but the scriptures, not how I felt, not how I thought, and even with my own personal thoughts, I would say I'm speaking as a man. All right, I would not compare the scriptures on to my own personal feelings, but you still got some niggas that want to come hit me with the thumbs down. Hey, man, America's about to be obliterated. Okay, America's about to be obliterated. Missile talk is getting ready. Is going to end up eventually happening. You see that, man? All right, and again, not coming out how I feel, but coming out of the scriptures. All right, and what do the scriptures say, man? Let's see at that. That's lucky. The Psalms, and I went over this in my last lesson that didn't get posted, but this is Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war. Let me actually, I want to go back one more. Psalms 55 and 20 says, "He put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He have broken his covenant." Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. All right, they look. Make a truce with Iran. Bibi Mikowski ends up bombing Lebanon. All right, beautiful, man, beautiful. Just when I seen I'm still not. I still wasn't worried when I seen the ceasefire. I was like, oh man, what's going on, But at the same time, I was like, man, the Lord gonna figure it out. The Lord's gonna figure it out. And the elder from GMS Mississippi was doing a lesson, at that same time, just basically explaining how ceasefires work. All right, but America needed this because they was getting, getting thrashed over there, man. All right. So it says world reacts to brutal Israeli attacks on Lebanon after U.S.-Iran truce. Israeli attacks have killed at least 254 people and wounded around 1,165 others, according to Lebanon's civil defense. I'm just gonna move down. Israel forces have carried out a devastating bombardment across Lebanon, killing hundreds of people after hours after a 2-week ceasefire was announced in the United States. Israeli war on Iran. Lebanon's civil defense said at least 254 people were killed and around 1,165 Slovakia. Others were wounded in the airstrikes that targeted areas in Beirut and Bekaa Valley, Mount Lebanon, Sidon, and several villages in South Lebanon. So I'm thinking this was, from the total bombing that they've done to Lebanon. But this is just one. This is devastating, man. This is madness. All right. But it just goes to show you, man, that the Lord Yahweh Shai will harden the hearts of these world leaders. Okay, he's gonna harden the heart of these other countries to get this thing rolling. Just like when Yahushua comes back, he's gonna have to harden their heart for them to fight against him, man, because they're gonna be scared when they see this. All right, says moving down, it says the Israeli military said that the air attack was the largest coordinated assault on Lebanon since it started a new military operation in the country on March 2nd. Targeting more than 100 Hezbollah command centers and military sites. In a written statement, the head of Lebanon's Syndicate of Doctors, Elias Chelly, urgently called for all physicians from all specialties to head to any hospital they could to offer help, with one of Beirut's biggest hospitals saying it needed donations of all blood types. Man. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Milkowski said that Lebanon was not part of the U.S.-Iran truce, but Meteor Pakistan said that the ceasefire is included the country. U.S. President Trump said Lebanon was separate and not a part of the agreement. Here's how the world reacts to the attacks. I mean, we don't have to get that, but the main thing is that Iran's not gonna stand for this, man. All right, they're not gonna go for this, man. All right, but it just goes to show you, man, never trust. Matter of fact, let's get that. Let's get that. And I think I seen something else saying that America. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna pull it up. I hope I didn't swipe out of it, but I'm gonna pull it up. This is Ecclesiastes or Sirach 12:10. It says, "Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." Matter of fact, let me just get it. Never trust thy enemy, so as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. So rust will iron. All right. And you can always count on your goddamn enemy being your enemy, man. All right. Verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou shalt at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. And yeah, the other nations were pricked with Esau's bullshit, man. All right, of this ongoing truce. Okay, after Iran has been pummeling, man, pummeling Israel and the American troops, man, sinking aircraft carriers, destroying aircraft ships, man. All right, so we read in this article, and right now we're going to get into this the Midas touch, and he's going to explain this. Okay, this video is pretty lengthy. I'm going to chime in from bit to bit to drop up some scriptures, man. Salakia.
Donald Trump is losing it after his catastrophic deal with Iran has been exposed as a complete and utter surrender. So now Donald Trump is pushing that propaganda into high gear. He's enlisting the help of state regime media, which calls itself Fox News. And now he's trying to sell to the markets and sell to the American people that this is an incredible deal and that he's basically doing a joint venture with the Ayatollah Mojaba, and they're going to make so much money together. And now the U.S. is just going to hang out in the Middle East, party there and just see what's going on. And it is a golden age right now. Let me show you what Donald Trump is saying. Let's fact check what's happening. This is real. This is demented 25th Amendment stuff, as we've been calling for over and over again. So Donald Trump has a phone call with AFP, the news agency, and Trump states that the United States has achieved total and complete victory, 100%, no question about it, in the Iran war, following the announcement of a 2-week ceasefire with Iran. Trump added that he...
All right, do you hear this, man? Total and complete victory. All right, a lying tongue, man. All right, you are of your father, the devil. All right, he was a liar from the beginning, and the truth abided not. All right, roughly paraphrasing, man. Okay, and you're gonna see if this was a fucking victory or not, man. when this man continues to go on with the list. But I have pulled the scripture up real quick. All right, and we're gonna get the AI overview of it afterwards. But this is Ecclesiastes, okay, not Ecclesiasticus. All right, but it's Ecclesiastes 10:16. It says, "Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes feast in the morning." All right, and this is what Trump is. Trump is a fucking child. Esau Edom is a child. He's a boy. All right, and he handles his daily affairs like a child, and he boasts proudly like a guy that's never had nothing, man. All right, bragging and lying and I'm trying to keep it PG for somewhat PG for YouTube, boasting and bragging, man. But in reality, every move he's made, okay, he set Babylon back. Okay, especially leading them into this war. Complete other madness. Okay, my Salaki. Let me get that AI overview for that. All right, Ecclesiastes 10:16. It says, "Woe to the land whose king is a child," is a biblical proverb from Ecclesiastes warning that immature, irresponsible, or self-indulgent leadership leads to national ruin. It signifies a regime where leaders prioritize pleasure, feasting in the morning, over governing, causing incompetence to decay the state's foundations. And you see that, all right? You see that under this man's reign, Babylon the Great, or America, all right, has spread. All right, it's democracy all over the other nations. And that's literally a scripture in, I believe, Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, man. Okay? We might get it, we might not, but let's finish this video.
Believes China persuaded Iran to make a deal as the deadline approached Tuesday, and that the country's stockpile of highly enriched uranium will be perfectly taken care of under the ceasefire agreement between Iran and the United States. Don't worry, I'll fact check that in a moment. Then he goes on his social media platform, utterly deranged. He posts, "A big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Likewise, so has everyone else. The United States of America will be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz. There will be lots of positive action. Big money will be made. Iran can start the reconstruction process. We'll be loading up with supplies of all kinds and just hanging around in order to make sure that everything goes well. I feel confident that it will, just like we are experiencing in the U.S. This could be the golden age of the Middle East." Let me reiterate one more time what the 10-point plan that Donald Trump agreed to actually states. A commitment by the...
All right, Khan. Now, look at this list and pay attention, man. I know I'm speeding it up because it's a lengthy video. We might not have to get all of it, but it's a pretty edifying video, okay? But you look at this and tell me if this is a win. Commitment to non-aggression, Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz, acceptance of Iran's uranium enrichment, lifting all primary sanctions, lifting all secondary sanctions, termination of all UN Security Council resolutions, okay, termination of Board of Governors resolutions, paying compensation to Iran. Iran wants you to pay for their land, man, that they've done. You know why? When you set demands when like this, when you have complete control, when you have the upper hand. All right, and I was looking through social media a few hours ago, a few minutes ago as well, before I did this lesson. And everyone knows that Trump has tucked his tail. Everyone knows that America's been getting up. Not everyone. Let me just say that a lot of people are aware, man, who are not swallowing down the propaganda. All right, you got some people who are saying, yeah, Trump showed them that they F around and they found out. No, nigga, no. You about to find out in the worst way what's going to happen or what's going to go down. All right, paying compensation to Iran, withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the region, cessation of war on all fronts, including in Lebanon, right before they bombed it. All right, Lebanon, right before they bombed it. Look we finna see what's finna happen, man.
United States and Israel, it's supposed to be both, non-aggression in the entire region. Iran keeps control over the Strait of Hormuz and gets to charge a $2 million toll to passing ships, and ships can't pass by unless they pay the toll and are escorted by the Iranian Navy, and Iran says that it will only allow 10 to 15 ships in the 2-week period where the ceasefire is in place. 3, acceptance of Iran's uranium enrichment. One of the things that Donald Trump agreed to in accepting this 10-point plan is that Iran gets to make nuclear weapons and enrich its uranium. Number 4, lifting of all primary sanctions. Number 5, lifting of all secondary sanctions. Number 6, termination of all UN Security Council resolutions against Iran. Number 7, termination of all Board of Governor resolutions. Number 8, paying compensation to Iran for the damage done during the war. Number 9, withdrawal of all U.S. combat forces from the entire region. Number 10, cessation of war on all fronts, including in Lebanon and in Yemen and Iraq and all of the surrounding areas. And Trump says that this plan is very, very workable. We're very, very workable. So you go back to Donald Trump and he's like, our United States Navy is going into the Strait of Hormuz. No, it isn't. Iran didn't agree to that. So if that happens, war will break out right away because that's not what Iran agreed to. What Iran said is that it will have its Navy escort the ships. The ships will pay Iran and Oman $2 million. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. Iran made that very clear. Donald Trump says that uranium will be perfectly taken care of. No, because what you agreed to is that uranium enrichment can continue. What else is Donald Trump saying? That he believes China persuaded Iran to make a deal as the deadline approached. We all know it was the exact opposite. You were so thirsty and desperate to have a deal because you set an 8 p.m. Eastern deadline that you just agreed to the 10-point plan that Iran had been talking about for weeks. Iran did not budge from its plan. That was Iran's plan. And why do you think the people in Iran are celebrating on the streets right now? Okay.
That's right, man. I seen that video this morning. They were celebrating on the streets because they know that this is a win to them. Okay, the propaganda, man. Pride goes before destruction and the heart of spirit before the fall. And you're witnessing the fall of Babylon, man. There's no telling how Iran's gonna react to this shit, man. Okay, we want them to go. We want them to go full fledged, man. Let's go, man. All right, because you know what's gonna happen. Israel is eventually, and I said this in my last lesson. Israel is going to eventually end up shooting the big one over there, man. Now I don't know if you can say that on YouTube. I seen Elder Malcolm, you know, the NUKE. All right. But that's what this is going to eventually end up leading to, man. Okay.
So you have Donald Trump out there trying to spin this as some amazing victory, golden age. We're going to make so much money. And you're celebrating a ceasefire where you've agreed to give Iran everything they wanted. What's your estimate of how long the ceasefire really holds? I'll let you make a guess. So then Donald Trump has state regime propaganda media in the U.S., which calls itself Fox. They've got to push this now, right? Lots of people don't watch the Midas Touch Network who watch Fox, although we get more viewers than Fox right now. But they have brainwashed their viewers, so they got to convince their viewers this is a win, right? Maybe people who don't know what's going on, convince them that it's a win, even though it's the biggest loss imaginable. So what do? Laura Ingraham, one of the top propagandists over on state regime media, she goes, tonight's news, it's bad news for Democrats. They thought they had Trump in a box, but he got the last laugh. Last laugh? I just read the 10 points. Here, play this clip.
Okay, so actually tonight's news is actually bad news for them. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it the way it is. They always underestimate Trump. And as for 2028 Van Halen, who we just saw, he has the charisma of a mollusk. So we were at the precipice here. We had to rewrite the script. Donald Trump continues to rewrite the political script. Democrats believe they finally had Trump and the entire MAGA movement in a box. But once again, the last laugh will be on them.
Then Laura Ingraham's like, it looks like Donald Trump hit a home run here with this deal. Like, are y'all so weirdly thirsty for deals that you make quite literally the worst? Before the war started, Iran didn't control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran agreed to not enrich its uranium. The U.S. had military bases in the region. And so now you've just agreed to completely do the opposite. And you're saying, that's all. We hit a home run, everybody. There's a weird loser mentality. It's like weird. These are just weird losers. Loser mentality. What are you talking? You think this?
That's that spoiled child behavior, man. That's the spoiled child behavior. That whoa, look at me. What about me as spirit that Esau has on him? Okay, and that's that pride as well, man. America's looking bad, man. All right, confusion. Matter of fact, let's get a scripture real quick, man. Go to Isaiah 66 real quick. Salakia. Let's see. Might be 66. Let me see. Nah, that's not it. It's a lot. Isaiah 60 says, "Arise, shine, for their light is come up. For the light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. All right, and the key point was the gross darkness is among the people, man. Okay, the people here are confused and don't understand what the hell is going on, man. But you're gonna soon find out, or especially with the way that Iran's gonna retaliate, because they have the upper hand, you know. Israel and America struck them first, and since they struck them, they have not backed down. You know. Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember the elder Ariel used to always, you know, come on, Iran, let's go. They moving now, ain't they? All right. So you know what? That's gonna be it for this video. I don't want this video to be too long. That was pretty much the key points of it. This is an L for America, man, and even especially more now that Israel has done this. But you know, Trump is a puppet. Okay, Benji has his pulling the strings, and yeah, man, the least of the flock shall lead them, you know, into full force. Okay, into the war. All right, so on to the next, brothers and sisters. Shalom.